Have you ever spent 30 minutes scrolling through Netflix, trying to decide what to watch, until it was too late to start anything? Or walked out of a store feeling worse despite having dozens of options? Turns out, the more choices we have, the less happy we feel. Here's why. Today, the average American makes around 35,000 decisions every day, from coffee to careers, from dating partners to car purchases. The harsh truth, our options are increasing, but our happiness isn't. Research shows people experience more anxiety, doubt, and even regret after making purchases when there were too many options. Social media, online shopping, and supermarkets promise freedom, but deliver overload. In fact, a 2023 Cornell study found that decision fatigue, the deteriorating quality of decisions after making many of them, now affects 78% of Americans daily. Could the abundance of choice actually be making us miserable? This phenomenon was famously described by psychologist Barry Schwartz in his book The Paradox of Choice. He explained that freedom of choice brings not only benefits but hidden costs. Why? First, because of analysis paralysis. When too many options overload the brain, decision-making stalls and anxiety rises. Second, choice amplifies disappointment. Even when we make good choices, we're haunted by the thought, what if another option would have been better? Schwartz conducted experiments where students were offered either 6 or 24 varieties of jam to sample. Those choosing from just 6 options were more likely to be satisfied with their choice than those facing the extensive selection. And this pattern repeats across nearly every domain of American life. What makes this particularly fascinating is how it challenges American culture, where freedom and choice are core values. We believe more options equal more freedom equal more happiness. But science reveals almost the opposite. Beyond a certain threshold, additional choices actually reduce our satisfaction and well-being. Where do we encounter the paradox of choice most powerfully today? First, streaming services. Between Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, HBO Max, and dozens more, we have access to more content than any human could watch in a lifetime. Yet many people report feeling apathetic and indecisive when faced with these endless libraries. Second, online shopping. Amazon offers over 12,000 different headphone options alone. How could anyone possibly evaluate all those alternatives? Research shows that when consumers face excessive options, they often delay purchasing altogether, or buy, but feel less satisfied. Third, modern relationships. Dating apps present an endless scroll of potential partners. But rather than creating more successful relationships, many users report feeling more isolated and unsure than ever before. The Pew Research Center reports that 65% of Americans experience feelings of doubt and exhaustion after major purchases rather than joy. Even buying yogurt becomes a philosophical dilemma when facing 100 variations. Psychological mechanism. Why does our brain react with discomfort to excess options? It's largely due to evolutionary mechanisms. Our brains didn't evolve to handle hyperchoice. They evolved to make quick decisions between berries and mushrooms, not between 3,000 TV models with nearly identical features. When we face too many options, several psychological effects kick in. The opportunity cost of each decision increases. With each new option, the chance we might miss something better grows. Instead of feeling happy with our choice, we fear missing out and feel guilty, even when we've made objectively good decisions. There's also the rising expectations effect. When options multiply, our expectations for the perfect outcome rise too. We imagine that with so many choices, we should be able to find the absolutely perfect option. Reality can't match this fantasy, leaving us perpetually disappointed. Perhaps most insidious is how we internalize this disappointment. In our achievement-oriented society, making the wrong choice feels like a personal failure rather than a systemic problem, adding shame to an already stressful process. Here's the surprising truth. Unlimited variety isn't freedom. It's a hidden trap. The more options we have, the higher our expectations, the stricter our criteria, and the greater our fear of making mistakes. Barry Schwartz calls this the tyranny of choice. The central illusion is that you always could have chosen better, which means any choice you make is a potential failure. The real insight is that happiness comes not from maximizing options, but from the skill of limiting them. Freedom isn't having infinite choices, it's having the wisdom to know which choices matter and which don't. The most satisfied people aren't those with the most options, but those who've mastered the art of satisficing, finding what's good enough, and moving on with life. Practical solutions. How can you avoid becoming a victim of the paradox of choice? Here are 3 evidence-based strategies. First, deliberately limit your options. Google conducted experiments showing that the fewer options users were shown, the more likely they were to make a decision and be content with it. Next time you're choosing a movie or buying shoes, artificially restrict your list to 3 options. The research is clear. Setting boundaries around choice increases satisfaction. Second, become a satisficer instead of a maximizer. Psychologists distinguish between people who look for good enough and those who need the absolute best. Studies show maximizers spend more time deciding, experience more stress, and end up less happy with their choices. Practice asking, is this option good enough to meet my needs? Rather than, is this the best possible option? Third, practice gratitude for the choice you've made. Once you've decided, don't revisit alternatives. Psychologist Thomas Gilovich's research shows that directing attention to the positive aspects of your choice rather than potential lost opportunities significantly reduces regret and increases happiness. This technique alone can transform your relationship with choice. Imagine a world where you choose yourself and your values instead of trying to squeeze maximum value from every trivial decision. Where freedom isn't endless options, but the clarity to focus on what truly matters. The paradox of choice reveals something profound about modern life. Sometimes less really is more. By simplifying our options, embracing good enough, and finding gratitude in our choices, we can escape the anxiety of hyperchoice and find what we're really looking for. Not more options, but more contentment. Where in your life is excess choice preventing satisfaction? Share your experience in the comments. Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if this video resonated with you, hit subscribe for more explorations of the psychological patterns shaping our modern lives. Remember, choosing to limit your options might be the most liberating choice you ever make.